Hi, welcome to On the Shelves at ACPL. This is video 2 of our new books in July and August. And this group are all historical fiction and realistic fiction, literary fiction. So let's get started. Our first book is Brontes Mistress by Finola Austen. This is the story of Mrs. Robinson, who hires 2 of the Bronte children to be governesses and tutors for her children. Mrs. Robinson finds herself in a, quite frankly, loveless marriage, teenage daughters who are not behaving well, who are not treating her well. In comes Branwell Bronte, and he is the tutor to her son. He is in his 20s while she is in her 40s, but his sisters plays and dramas that they are writing create a backdrop that leads to them falling in love. But what will happen? Branwell's acting kind of strange. He's maybe having second thoughts about this affair. His sisters are very perceptive and very good writers, so can Mrs. Robinson write her own story before the Bronte sisters out her as this evil woman? If you are a Bronte fan, if you knew about Mrs. Robinson before now, or even if you didn't, this was a great book to pick up. Our next book is The Mountains Sing by Nguyen Phan Ki Mai. This book is set in Vietnam, starting in the 1950s and going through the Vietnam War. It is the story of the Tran family seen through the eyes of the grandmother and her granddaughter. The grandmother has to make a really hard decision in the 1950s to try to escape some of the turmoil that is going on. Her family tries to escape and has some negative consequences for that action. So years later, her granddaughter and she are waiting for her parents and her aunts and uncles to come back during the war. And the grandmother slowly shares some of the stories with her granddaughter as they wait. So this book seems like it would be very lyrical, very beautiful, and talking about things that people may or may not know about Vietnam, heading up toward the Vietnam War. Our next book is Fragments of Light by Michele Phoenix. Celie goes through a horrible time. She has cancer. She ends up breaking up with her childhood sweetheart. The only thing that gets her through is her older friend, Darlene. When Darlene's health becomes dire and her prognosis is not good, Celie feels that she has to do what Darlene asks her to do, which is to go find out information about her long-lost father, Cal. Cal fought in World War II, was a paratrooper, and disappeared. So Celie goes to France. She finds out information about his failed mission, and then the story jumps from the present back to Cal's experiences after his failed mission of landing in France, and goes back and forth between the two stories. This sounds like it would be a very emotional and wonderful story. Our next book is The Orphan Collector by Ellen Marie Wiseman. This book is set during the flu pandemic of 1918 in Philadelphia. Pia is a German immigrant. People are dead, dying, sick all around, and there's no food left in her house. So she has to go out and leave her 2 infant brothers at home alone while she goes to find food. Across the street, a woman named Bernice just lost her infant child and is bereft. And she sees Pia leave and realizes that the twins are home alone. When Pia comes back, the twins are no longer there because I believe Bernice has taken them. But this story not only talks about how families dealt with the flu in 1918 and the horrible conditions in these immigrant neighborhoods in Philadelphia in the 1918. But I think it also talks about the feelings people had about immigrants and the conclusions they might come to when a young lady leaves the babies to go get food. Our next book is How Much of These Hills is Gold by Phan Zhang. Both Ba and Ma pass away, and Lucy and Sam must figure out what to do. They leave their home in the American West. They go to try to find help and to survive. And so this story really also, like our last book, talks about the immigrant's dream and the immigrant story in America. This one is probably one that we haven't heard as much of, the Chinese story in the American West. Our last new book is The All-Night Sun by Diane Zinna. Lauren is a teacher at a school. She is kind of lonely, has trouble connecting with others, but one of her students is very charismatic. Her name is Siri, and Lauren, I won't say Lauren falls in love with her, but falls in love with her spirit and her, and they become good friends. So when Siri invites Lauren to come with her that summer, to come home with her to Sweden, Lauren goes. But when they get there and Lauren starts to feel feelings toward Siri's older brother, and they start spending time with Siri's friends, Lauren sees another side of this young lady, that she is jealous, that she is possessive, and what is going to happen now that she is here in Siri's country living with her family and is not so sure if this woman is really her friend or not. So those are all of our literary and historical fiction novels that are new. If you would like to put any of them on hold, please call any of our branches, or you can go onto our catalog, alamancelibraries.org, and find them on the catalog and put them on hold yourself. We'll see you next time on the shelves at ACPL.